What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today we are talking about the OPI Spring 2023 collection, which is called Me, Myself, and OPI. So we've got 12 new polishes and this is a part of their regular nail polish line. So that means it's available as regular lacquer. It's also available in their gel formula, and they have the third Infinite Shine formula, which I don't quite know the difference. I believe it's just a shinier, more gel-like version that applies like nail polish and removes like nail polish, but I am planning on doing a video testing out their regular polish and their Infinite Shine to see if it is actually any different. Now, they do have a fourth nail polish line within OPI, and that is their Nature Strong line. That's their plant-based nail polish, and these polishes are not available in the plant-based line. They do actually have a separate spring release for those, which I will be reviewing separately. But anyway, back to these polishes. Like I said, there's 12 of them, and they're all pretty typical springy shades with little touches of brightness in there. The names are definitely a weird mix of like crypto bro NFT stuff and a little bit of influencer culture, but I don't think that names for OPI tend to be too related to the polishes themselves, so don't be deterred by that. So I'm going to show you the swatches of each color, then I'm going to talk a little bit more about pricing, availability, and my thoughts on the collection as a whole. So let's do the swatches first. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Orly Bonder. So we'll start off with this first shade, Pink in Bio. Now honestly, without reading the name, I would have described this one as more of a super light cream shade, but I guess there's the slightest touch of pink in here. It's this almost white cream color though, and this is a type of shade that I think OPI does really well. They do tend to be a little bit sheer. I feel like I could potentially get away with doing 2 coats, but I do end up needing 3 coats for a lot of these types of polishes, and this one is no exception. But the color itself is really beautiful. It's this super soft color, and I feel like this is the type of shade that I reach for when I want a white manicure but I don't want it to look like white out on my nails. I'll just go for this like slightly off-white kind of color, and I think it's just gorgeous. The formula is super easy to work with and it's very smooth and self-leveling. Next up we have the shade Switch to Portrait Mode, and this one is a pearly shimmer shade and it's sort of in this light peachy color. Now I absolutely love shades like this because I feel like you can really build it to the kind of coverage you want. So you can see in the first layer it's really just this very sheer wash of color and shimmer, and in 2 coats I tend to like the way that it looks the most because you get this really softened visible nail line look, but it's still opaque enough that you can see the color, and I thought that this one in particular managed to match my skin tone very well, and I just love the way that that looks. But I did end up putting on a 3rd coat just to show you what that looked like, and just out of my own curiosity, and I think it does make the color fully opaque. Now you do want to be a little bit careful with your brush strokes here because you can see them on the nail after they dry, so you just want to make sure to do as few strokes as possible on that final coat and it'll look really pretty. Next up we have I Meta My Soulmate. And you're gonna see a theme here of some pretty questionable names. This is probably not too bad of a name, but this one is a very similar shade. It's this pink pearly shimmer, but this one I found to be a little bit more opaque. Honestly, I loved the way that it looked in one coat. Again, I just love that really soft visible nail line look, and I feel like this is kind of OPI's way of dipping their toes into the jelly trend without actually making jelly polishes. So we just have like a slight touch of sheerness, but you can also build them up to full coverage. And I ended up getting 2 coat coverage on this one. If you have longer nails, you might need a 3rd because you might see a little bit more visible nail line, but again, you do want to be careful with your brush strokes on that last coat because you are going to see them on the nail. And then we have the shade Data Peach, which is again a pearlized shimmer shade, and this one is a really beautiful bright coral kind of color. When I saw it, I actually thought it was going to be more of like a beigey medium brown kind of color, but boy was I wrong. This is such a saturated shade, and it has this really gorgeous pinky base, but then this orangey shimmer that really gives it that sort of coral salmon peachy kind of color, and I thought this was absolutely stunning. It had the same formulas as the other, but again, it was a little bit more opaque, so I was able to get full coverage in 2 coats, and I was careful with my brush strokes, so I got that nice streaky look. I have heard that you can sponge on polishes like this if you don't like that streaky vibe, it, but personally I love it. I think it almost elongates the nails, and I just think that's a really pretty look. Moving on, we have the shade Silicon Valley Girl, and this one is a super vibrant orange cream. I could see as soon as I started applying it that this was a really opaque one, so it ended up actually covering up my visible nail line in that first coat, but it wasn't quite there on the coverage, so I did need a second coat for full coverage. But honestly, this is a very impressive formula. I feel like this kind of finish would be really great for nail art, and it's also just a really vibrant bright color. I think this feels more like a summery shade than a spring shade to me, so I'll probably wear this one a lot in the summer. Feels like a good pedicure color. Next up, we have the shade Left Your Texts on Red, which I have to say, this was my favorite name out of all of the polishes in the collection. I just thought this one was really cute, and OPI always does really amazing red polishes. To me, it's one of the things that they do the best, and this one is no exception. It has a sort of jelly-like formula to it, and it's this really vibrant, summery cherry red. And then we have this sort of glass fleck shimmer running throughout. So there's actually some pink, or it might actually all be silver, but it looks pink when it's combined in with the red. But either way, it's super gorgeous. I got full coverage in 2 coats, and I love this type of jelly formula because it's opaque, but it still has that super high shine and that squishiness of jelly. And I just think this is really beautiful. Again, kind of a summery shade. Next up, we have the shade Spring Break the Internet. So this one is another jelly-like formula, and it's this really hot pink jelly base, but then we have this really cool toned pinky shimmer running throughout. So it's kind of similar to the red shade, but this one is definitely more of a shimmer. And again, we have those little like flecks in there, so you can see there's some bigger specks that kind of catch the light differently. And again, I got really nice coverage in 2 coats. For whatever reason, this specific type of pink always makes me think of like Christmas colors, but I could see this obviously being a very springy, summery shade as well. Next up, we have the shade I Sold My Crypto. So again, one of those kind of weird names. I don't even get the pun in this name, and I'm also not a big crypto fan, and I'm curious how much overlap there is in the crypto world and the nail polish world, because I do feel like this is kind of a weird combination in terms of like theming. So this one is a warm toned purple jelly that has a cool toned, almost blue purple shimmer running throughout. Again, we've got those glass flecks, and this one ended up being a little bit different from the others. It was super sheer, and honestly in 3 coats I still found it to look pretty patchy, and I wasn't a fan of it, which is definitely a shame because I love a good purple nail polish. But because it is so sheer and there's so much going on in it, I thought it would be cool to try wearing it over black, and oh my goodness, this looked absolutely stunning. Over black, that cool toned shimmer turned into a straight blue. We also had those metallic flecks that really looked purple on when combined with that black base and the purple jelly. And I don't know, I absolutely love it. It is just absolutely gorgeous. It feels very wintry to me, so I am really happy that I tried it over black. And then we have the shade Incognito Mode, and this one is a really dusty, slightly warm purple cream shade, and this is the type of color that I don't really love in the springtime, so it's not my personal favorite. But that being said, it's a really great formula. It was very impressive in the first coat, but it did give me full coverage in the second. It does dry down very slightly darker than it looks in the bottle, but it definitely has that soft, dusty pastel kind of look that you see a lot this time of year. I know a lot of people are into it. It's just not my personal favorite, but the color is fine and the formula is great. Next up, we have the shade NFTease Me, which, oh my gosh, this name makes me cringe so hard. But this is a really beautiful blue shade. It almost has a little bit of like a turquoise undertone to it. Like it's definitely a little bit on the warmer yellowy kind of side, and it is absolutely stunning. When I saw it in the bottle, I thought it was going to be a little bit dustier, but it ended up actually being pretty saturated on the nail, and it was gorgeous in 2 coats. Again, the OPI cream formula is just really impressive. It's very beginner friendly and it's very self-leveling, so if you see a color you like, I highly recommend grabbing it because just in general, I think their formula is really impressive. Next up, we have the shade Clear Your Cache, and this one is a really pretty light cream shade that kind of sits somewhere between being yellow and being green. It definitely has a little touch of that pastel-y vibe to it. I felt like on me, it ended up looking a little bit more vibrant than it does in the bottle, and I think that's just because I'm so pale that I can make pastel shades look a little bit more vibrant. So just something to keep in mind, if you do have a darker skin tone, it might end up being a little bit softer and less intense on you. But again, a really pretty shade. I ended up getting full coverage in 2 coats, which I was surprised by, but I feel like if my nails were any longer, I would have to do a third, so another thing to keep in mind. And last but definitely not least, we have the shade Blinded by the Ring Light, and this one is a very light pastel yellow cream shade. So this kind of combines what is, in my opinion, the 2 most difficult types of polish, which is pastel polish and yellow polish, both of which I find to be really difficult to get opaque but not chalky on the nails. But I was actually pretty impressed with this one. It ended up taking 3 coats for full coverage, which I think is pretty good for being such a light yellow shade, because I think yellows in general tend to be 3-coaters on me. I was almost expecting this one to require a 4th, but this is a very pretty shade. Again, I don't really love the springy pastel colors, but I can't deny that this is a pretty one, and I think it looks really nice on, and again, the formula is just impeccable, so can't say anything bad about this one. So here are all of the shades together, and I think overall we have a pretty nice color scheme. Now, this is listed as being just a spring collection, but I feel like a lot of these shades also work for a more summery vibe, especially in that center row. I think they just have a lot of that vibrance that you see in summer nail polishes, so I definitely appreciate that. I personally love to wear my polishes seasonally, and I love when I can wear a polish for more than one season because I think it kind of works for both. Now, that being said, the names of some of these are just not my favorite thing. I don't love that. Usually I won't let a name of a nail polish deter me, but I know some people do and aren't a fan of this type of thing. And honestly, I'm not a fan of the NFT world or the crypto world, but I am probably just going to ignore the names of these and enjoy them anyway. But at least we also have this very confusing also influencer thing. Now, here's the thing. I don't know that much about the crypto world. Is there a lot of like influencer overlap? Because I feel like some of these names, I don't see how they're crypto related. I feel like Pink in Bio is a play on Link in Bio, which is an Instagram thing. And then we have Blinded by the Ring Light. So I don't know. I'm a little confused on the theming here. I think it's a little weird, but if anybody wants to give their attempt at explaining it, feel free to do so in the comments. So those are all the polishes, and honestly, I really enjoyed these. I did hear mixed reviews about them, but overall, I just think the quality really is there. One thing about OPI that I will just never get over is how self-leveling they are, meaning even if you don't apply them absolutely perfectly, as it dries, it's gonna smooth out on your nail pretty nicely, which I think makes it very easy for beginners to get into. So that is something that I definitely appreciate about the brand. The colors aren't necessarily crazy original shades, but I think they all look really nice. I think we do have the right mix of soft, springy shades, but also with enough saturation and brightness to them that it makes them interesting and fun on the nails. And overall, I just feel like OPI is a mainstream brand, so they are going to stick to mostly mainstream colors and finishes. So it doesn't surprise me that they've just come out with a collection of more or less classic shades. So all of the polishes come in 15 milliliter bottles, and they are available wherever OPI is sold. If you're new to the brand, it might get a little bit confusing with all of the different lines that OPI has, but just to keep it really simple, the black cap means that it is a regular nail polish. It dries by air, it does not require a lamp, and in general, if you can see the color of the nail polish in it, even if it has different colored caps, that means at the end of the day, it is just a regular nail polish. The only one that is a gel that requires a lamp, that would be the ones that have a fully opaque bottle where you cannot see the polish inside of them. So ultimately, the Infinite Shine and the plant-based line are both regular nail polish as well. They just cost a little bit more sometimes. times. So as far as pricing with the regular nail polish line, it does vary based on where you get it. They are available from a bunch of online retailers. Personally, I love HB Beauty Bar and Beyond Polish for my nail polish purchases. At HB Beauty Bar, they retail for $9 USD each, and you can use the code KELLI to get 20% off your order there. At Beyond Polish, they retail for $8.75 USD each. You can also use the code KELLI there to get 10% off your order, and both of those retailers do have the Infinite Shine formula as well. But yeah, overall, honestly, I like them. I'm not a huge spring nail polish person, but still, I feel like the formulas are really good here. I feel like the colors are classic. If you are interested in the spring type of polishes, I think this is a great option to go for. And like I said, I just think it's a really beginner-friendly brand. So if you are unused to or tired of more difficult formulas, I think this is a really great one to try out. So if you want a nice, easy formula, it's one of my go-to brands. Honestly, I really enjoy OPI. But I would love to hear your thoughts, so leave them all in the comments. We can chat about it, whether you love it or you hate it or you're kind of somewhere in between. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please give this one a thumbs up. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. I also have a second YouTube channel, my vlog channel, where I show you a little bit more about myself behind the scenes. Lately, I've been diving a little bit more into enjoying Las Vegas and vlogging my adventures. So if you're interested in that, check it out. It's in the cards. And of course, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon, my royal astronomer Amanda M, as well as my cosmic admirals Rocket Man's daughter, Paola, Ken, Rosie, and Courtney. I really appreciate your support, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact question comes from Patreon supporter Pookie Bear, and Pookie Bear wants to know, I know you get bored with your hair colors quickly. Are you itching to change your hair color in the near future? And if you are, what colors are you thinking? So fun fact, I actually literally just this weekend redid my hair color. I have been keeping this really, really dark brown, almost black with a blonde streak in it for a while now. Honestly, I think it's been since like May or June. I thought that I would be tired of it pretty quickly because if you've watched my channel, you probably know I have cycled through a lot of hair colors. Personally, I really enjoy this color. I think having a more neutral hair color helps me get a little bit more creative with my eye makeup, which is something that I really enjoy experimenting with. And I also feel like I've been branching out a little bit more, not today, but I've been wearing like darker lipsticks and stuff, and I feel like I'm just a little bit more comfortable doing that when I have a less colorful hair color because I like to match, you know? So I feel like it almost limits me a little bit. Like when I have blue hair, I feel like I can only really wear colors that complement blue. That being said, there is a chance that I might dye this little blonde piece at some point, but right now my hair is not in great health. I'll talk about it a little bit more on my vlog channel because I am uploading a video this week talking about getting my hair done, but yeah, as of right now, I don't want to mess with it too much, but I would also love to get a little bit more blonde sporadically placed, but I do have to wait for a little bit in order to be able to do that. But yeah, no, surprisingly, I haven't been itching to go back to any crazy colors because I feel like whenever I'm feeling colorful, I'm just plopping it on my face or on my nails. So I think that helps a lot. But I don't know, my opinion could change next week. I am curious for those of you who do have colorful hair that's not like necessarily a neutral color. Do you feel like you need to match your makeup and nails to it, or are you just kind of like whatever you're feeling in that moment? I am curious, so definitely let me know in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.